Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Bane bringing you gaming goodness, and in this video we're going to be looking at one single product that's all you need to create an amazing dungeon. From Shieldice Studios, the Dungeon Diary of Daedalus. Am I saying that right? Let's take a look. Right, so the product we're looking at today is called the Dungeon Diary of Daedalus. I don't know whether I'm saying that right. The father of Icarus in Greek mythology. But yeah, before we do get started, don't forget to like, to subscribe, to comment, but also to share. Spread the word. My channel seems to be going through a little bit of a downward slide at the moment in terms of views and subscribers and sort of the ad revenue and everything. So if you guys can help me out by spreading the word, would be much appreciated. Anywho, back to the video. We are going to be looking at the diaries. It's got here Diaries of Dungeon Design, but on the front page it's got the Dungeon Diary of Daedalus. Now, this is from Shieldice Studios, and I was lucky enough that Jay actually sent me all the PDFs and also a hard copy. So thank you, Jay, Shieldice Studios. But yes, if you go to Drive-Thru RPG, I will put the link down below in the description. You will get a whole bunch of files, actually, for this product. And at the moment, it is a little bit cheaper. The PDF is at $8. The soft cover, which is what I have here, plus the PDF, is only $12. But yes, this is a amazing product that is all you need to create dungeons, whether they are small, medium, or mega dungeons. It can also be used to create above ground buildings and sort of locations like castles, churches, cathedrals. It can offer you an absolutely amazing tool for your world building and for your role-playing adventures. Now let's take a quick look down here. On the drive-through page, there are a lot of images and a lot of graphics showing you exactly what you get. But if we come down to this point here, where it says here extra files, there's a whole bunch of stuff you get, not just the sort of dungeon creation book. You also get a blank dungeon diary. I'll show you the PDFs in a second. A bookmark that doubles as a tile set ruler. 2 pre-designed example maps. 3 tiny tomes. Got to admit, I've got to be truthful, these are probably the weakest element of the product. A dungeon tracker stand to track things like timers, and an absolutely brilliant beast builder. Now, what we're going to be doing in this video, I'm going to quickly show you these PDFs of the products, and we're actually going to build a very quick, small dungeon using the book. I won't be using all of the elements of the book because there's just so much that you can do with this. So many possibilities, so much variety, so many things that you can use to not just create the dungeon in terms of the rooms, but also in terms of populating the dungeon, decorating the dungeon, traps, furniture, lots and lots and lots of stuff. There are so many dungeon creation tools around now, but this one, it's all you need. It's well worth a look, and like I mentioned just now, it is cheap, like the budgie. Right, let's take a look at some of these PDFs. So first of all, you're going to get the main book, and the book is around 100 pages. And inside the book, like I say, there is a huge amount. Let's make this a little bit bigger. There is a huge amount of content inside this book. I mean, just looking at the contents page, you've got in terms of the tiles, the rooms, the corridors, pillars and columns. There's even a chapter or a section where you can roll for random pillar design or select pillar designs. Island and boat tiles, palaces, keeps and temples. The Adventurer's Calling, where you can basically roll randomly in terms of why the characters are here. Very useful for kind of like one-shots. Dungeon locations. Oh my goodness, I think we'll probably be rolling on this one when we create our dungeons later in the video. There's all kinds of weird and wonderful locations. Dungeon types, depth chart, dungeon names. You can roll up a random name for your dungeon. Very similar to what you find in NoteQuest. Lore and backstory, uniqueness, and then up here, as we go to the second column on the contents, room types, dressing, doors, walls, floors and ceilings, windows, altars and shrines. And again, these are all provided as tables, but not just as tables, but in terms of detailed entries at times, so that you can very easily understand what you're rolling up and how to insert it into the dungeon. Levers and switches, traps, keys, chests, corpses. And at the back of the book is a really good NPC generator. With, again, maybe too much detail in terms of how to generate random NPCs. Because look, eyes, skin, teeth, nose, horns. It's like something out of Skyrim where you're trying to create your own character kind of thing. So let's have a quick look down here. You have a sort of standard selection of icons, like a legend that you can use for all dungeons. A lot of these are fairly standard, all the way back to sort of Dungeons and Dragons Red Box. You know, I've seen the same symbols all the way back then. But then it goes into the different tiles. Now, another thing is that when I received the files from Jay, and I can't say 100% whether it's in the drive-through download, but I also had in the zip file a folder which had all of these tiles as separate were they JPEGs or PNGs? I can't remember, but it's sort of graphic files. So you could very easily insert these sort of individual dungeon tiles, rooms and corridors onto any kind of graphics package to do your dungeon online, on the computer, to print out and to make nice, yeah? But of course you can always draw them normally as well. You've got curved variants. There's also, where are the smaller ones? 5x5s, 4x4s, yeah, 3x3s. Yeah, these are the pillars and columns I was mentioning just now. So you can roll up randomly to give it very much some depth, some detail, but also in terms of how to donate them and the shape of them on the map. So much detail on these things. What else is there? So there's some unique tiles. Again, we've got a quick... Okay, 5-room dungeon generator. This is kind of like a mini generator that you can do on the fly if you need a dungeon very, very quickly. This is a method very similar to what we did with, I think it was Wallet Dungeon, where you can very easily and very quickly roll up a dungeon. It's included in the book here. What else we got? Going down, some examples. Yeah. So you can also use this this product to actually create, again, above land sort of creations, not just underground dungeons or caverns. You can actually create large buildings, palaces, keeps and temples, villages, taverns and towns. Again, just by manipulation of the information in the book, you can very much use it for any kind of creation, not just dungeons. Adventurers calling. So yeah, why would a party of adventurers, let's make this bigger, why would a party of adventurers wish to enter such a forbidden place? Well, you can roll up for random rewards, for random situations or personal reasons, unique draws. There's also some notes in terms of motivation, in terms of how to get your party to investigate, because sometimes players can be annoying that way. What else is there? Locations, yes. So you can randomly roll up locations, and some of these are extremely interesting. And if you're doing a one-shot, or you have some way of transporting your players to a location that they don't know about, there's some really wonderful ones here. So you've got random entrances, buildings, underground, planar or unique. Yeah, that's not the end of it. Aerial, watery depths, sentient or living. You can create your dungeon or your location that the PCs are going to be investigating. Where is it? Inside the shell of a tortoise god. It's kind of warped version of Discworld. The mouth of a dragon. Cracks in the skin of a desert god. A sentient maze of crystal. You can come up with some absolutely amazing locations here and create adventures and dungeons that your players are going to remember for years and years. What else is... Oh, there's like I said, there's just... If anything, there's too much in this book, because to include all of these different things within your dungeon, it's going to take you forever to actually design the thing. The depth, so you can basically give your players or yourself an impression of exactly how deep or how high the dungeon is. Dungeon name generator, again, very similar to what we had in NoteQuest. Quick concepts, surrounding areas, lore and backstory, uniqueness. That's also something I think I'm going to roll up. Enemy themes. So in terms of what is the dominant creature or the dominant enemy within the dungeon, or who created it originally, again, you can kind of roll this up. And again, there's a whole variety of different options that you can roll up here. Light and dark, sources of light, causes of darkness, room types, and again, there's just so much. Furniture, doors, even for doors. You can roll up door material, door status, door embellishments, door access, door properties, secret doors. There's just so much in this book that, like I say, you don't need anything else. Everything that you could possibly want to create your dungeon is in this product. Archways, alcoves. I mean, if I fast forward quite a way, traps, keys, chests. Let's get to the NPC part. Here we go. NPCs. Now it says dungeon NPCs, but you can definitely use all these random roles and stuff to generate NPCs anywhere. What has it got here? Species, status, in terms of brawn, alignment, intelligent, height. Some notes in terms of voices and accents, quirks and mannerisms. What else we got here? Vocation, allegiance, unique items, eye color and eye style, the pupil type. Make it a bit bigger. There's just so much. Skin types. You can roll up random skin types and skin colors. Wow. I mean, there's just so much in this product that the price doesn't do justice to what you're paying for and what you're getting. And right at the end, you've got some random encounters that you can roll for. I would highly recommend this book for every dungeon master, every games master, even for players. You know, if you want to just sort of have some fun and create a dungeon for yourself, just out of interest. You know, for solo role players, this book. Let's go to the top again. This book is invaluable as a solo role player because it allows you to create the dungeon as you explore. You're rolling for the rooms and the content and the items and the magic and the enemies as you are exploring. So you don't have to pre-generate the entire dungeon before you start, because that kind of takes away some of the surprise. It's a marvelous book, and it is part of the Realm Fables series that Shieldice Studios produce. Now, I think I have featured some of their Realm Fables products before on the channel. So that's the main sort of book that you get in the download. But as well as that, you also get your own sort of blank dungeon diary. It's done as a book. Again, it's another 100 pages. But the way that I would use this PDF is to print out like a cover page and then the sort of pages as I need them, and then sort of combine them together as a booklet or as a folder afterwards. But I think when this was originally done on... Was it done on Kickstarter? I think there was actually like a physical version of this. But you've basically got the front cover here. And then as you go down the pages, you have an area, a hex map, so you can create the surrounding area. And then you've got a place to put NPCs, sort of major NPCs of the area and the dungeon. And then you get into the sort of dungeon section itself. So you get the square grids for you to actually plot and draw the dungeon rooms and the dungeon itself, if it's a small dungeon. But you've also got sort of pages for notes. Now, these are numbered. I kind of wish that they weren't numbered. because then I could add numbers myself in terms of creating my own dungeon diary. Because the way that this is done is in terms of square grid notes. Square grid notes. Square grid notes, yeah? I mean, the grids and the note pages differ. For example, here you've got a bit of a shadow in the bottom right corner. The next one you've got a compass, for example, north, south, east, west. The next one looks more like a maritime, or maybe a sort of a shoreline where you have like a sea, or a lake, or a river. So, and again, the next one's a skull. I'm kind of thinking that I wish that these didn't have the page numbers. I don't know, are there any layers? Is this layer? Don't think there's any layers on this. But there you go. But yeah, so this is essentially the document where you can create your own dungeon diary and your own creations. Very nice. It's a very nice little PDF, very nice product. You also get a dungeon tracker. This is a nice little product where you can keep track. Looking at this, I would probably use something like paper clips to actually put onto the edge. But it's a way for you as a DM, but also maybe for the players to keep track of where they are, the levels of thirst, the levels of sanity, timers. Again, a very useful little tool that's been added into this little this product. And of course the Dungeon Beast Builder. Now this is something that I will be using later in the video to create the population of our dungeon. It's a 4-page random generator, word 1, word 2, so you can actually describe the beast with an affliction if you want to. Then you've got things like from its body protrudes, actually this makes it a bit bigger. There you go. From its body protrudes something it smells like, it carries with it, merchants will pay for its whatever. There's a random generator so you can find out how it attacks, what happens when it dies, if you want something random. Now, we've also got here, again, Shieldice Studio do tend to like their, what are they called, Mad Libs, is it Mad Libs? Where it has a sentence and you have to roll for random words within the sentence. This is actually very common in their Loom products. But yes, you can basically create a rumour or maybe a legend in terms of the main beastie, the boss beastie of the dungeon that's told in the town or in the tavern. Whether it's true or not, you will have to find out by venturing into the dungeon to find out. Why is the beast here? Preferred habitats. But yeah, it's a great little addition to this product. But anyway, let us go to the table and we will actually create a small dungeon. Right, we have our book. We've got various pages of the blank dungeon diary printed out. Not sure how many of these I'm going to actually be using in this kind of like example, but I have a grid here so I can actually draw sort of the complete dungeon as we make it, but you can do on separate pages sort of separate rooms as I show here. But I won't be doing something like this for this example. What I'll be doing is just the complete dungeon with some sort of general overall notes about the dungeon itself. But as I'm showing you here with this example, you can actually do sort of one room per page with specific details that you roll up for each specific room. So for example, this is a wizard's cave. It's got an ancient crumbling tapestry concealing a secret door. There's a bone chest, a chest made of bone and solid shadow. When opened it hisses and hot steam comes out, kind of like a soft trap, and it contains the wizard's old spell book. Again, the doors are trapped with a magical trap. There's a lot of things that you can actually roll up when you're constructing a dungeon or a building with this book. But yes, this is what you could do, maybe as you extend the diary, as you do the diary in more detail. But what we're going to be doing is just the basic dungeon, sort of, probably not even the complete dungeon, maybe just the beginnings of the dungeon with some sort of overall notes. I will, at one point, I'll probably be putting in at least one beast using the beast builder inside the dungeon. But I don't want to make this part too long because we've already had the overview. let us begin. Now, of course, there is a lot of information inside this book, as you've been seeing on the overview just now. So we're not going to be using all of this, but we are going to give you a good taster in terms of what's inside. In terms of starting, well, it suggests at the beginning here how to choose a tile set, roll the dice, draw it, and then come up with all the details. Well, you could do it that way, I suppose, but there are other ways that you can begin. For example, you could start off with surrounding area. You could start off with the lore and backstory. What we're going to do in this case, in this example, is I'm actually going to start off with the name, because the name could lead me to use specific tables as I'm designing the dungeon. For example, the dungeon types. We've got different tables for buildings, underground, planar. Again, I think I showed you these in the overview. Aerial, underwater, sentient. So I'm thinking that I want to use the random name generator, and that could actually help me pick which tables to roll. Now, this name generator is very, very similar to the one that you find in NoteQuest. Amazing little tools, can come up with some amazing names. They can come up with some really weird names as well. But we're going to be rolling one here, and this is a 3d20 roll. Now, for this, let me put that there for a second. For this video and for this dungeon, we're going to be using these dice that were kindly sent to me by a certain very generous subscriber to the channel. Too generous. So we're going to be using some of these absolutely gorgeous. I used that word a lot in a recent video when I was looking at some other dice, the gemstone dice. But these are also gorgeous dice. These are sharp dice. They have some kind of a foil inside, so they're sort of purple with like a gold, it looks like a gold foil inside. But these are the dice that I will be using to create our dungeon. I don't think I'm going to be using a dice tray. I don't think there's much space on the camera for a dice tray, so I'll just be rolling it on the paper itself. So I'm just going to move these to one side, and once again, thank you to that very, very special subscriber. Yeah, pencil, ruler, eraser, you know, the normal tools. But the first thing we're going to do is come up with our dungeon name. So we're going to be rolling a d20 3 times. I hope you can read this on the... Yeah, seems to be coming out okay. Right, the first part of the name is a 17. I like these dice already. Beneath. Oh, okay. Right, well that could be an underground cave system, an underground dungeon, or it could even be below water. So okay, that's a interesting start. Second part is also a d20. This time we get a 5. The Rusty. Okay, and the third part, we get a 3. I'm not liking these dice as much now. Started off well. 3. Skull. Okay. Beneath the Rusty Skull. Maybe this isn't necessarily a name, so to speak. It's maybe letting me know in terms of where this thing actually is. The Rusty Skull. I mean, it could be a small dungeon or sewer system below an inn or a tavern, which is called the Rusty Skull. Aha! I think, possibly, maybe. Right now, after the dungeon name, we could, I suppose, roll up surrounding area. I mean, based on the name, I'm thinking that this could be, like I say, some kind of sewer system or cavern system underneath a tavern or inn. So maybe the surroundings I've already kind of created myself. I mean, we could roll under, municipalities, smog-covered city of glass amidst a great unending market, but that may not link at all with the name. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not actually going to roll for the surrounding area. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to put here that maybe, what would it be? Should we roll type? Yeah, I think I'm gonna roll up type. If it's something that really doesn't suit the name, then I'm probably gonna roll again. But what do we get? A 10. Glacial caves. That could work. Okay, let me just quickly write that down here. Right, so based on those first few rolls, mainly based on the name and what I rolled up for the dungeon type, I've come up with this kind of little bit of background. A city from long ago, mostly ruined and abandoned, in the rolling tundra and snowy shrubland of the surrounding area. Once a vibrant, bustling city of trade, now a haunted shadow of its former glory. In the small occupied district of the ruined city we find a busy tavern, the Rusty Skull, below which, unknown to most, lies a vast network of glacial caves. That's what we got so far. With just a few rolls, I've kind of generated a little bit of a backstory in terms of where it is, about where, sort of the surrounding area or what's going on above ground kind of thing. In terms of the sort of the population or the actual business of this sort of ruined city or town, that can be expanded, is that the right word? That can be expanded, grown later in terms of developing the story and developing the adventure. But we're going to carry on with what we want to know. So that was the dungeon type that we found. Right, what are we going to look at next? Entrance, again, I think the entrance, I mean, again, you can roll here to randomize the sort of entrance. I'm kind of thinking that it's more like possibly a secret doorway or a hole in the basement or a hidden staircase or something. Should I roll or should I just select? I think for this one, because a bunch of these are not really going to be suitable. Let's have a look. Cellar door in a building, mouth of a cave. Yeah, I'm not going to roll up the entrance because I'm kind of thinking that it's maybe hidden below the Rusty Skull, below the tavern somewhere. Right, what else? Maybe we can roll up a uniqueness. Because there are these, okay, you've got lore and backstory, which we could roll. Not for this one, I don't think. Okay, uniqueness, I think we will roll because this kind of adds a little bit of interest to this cave system or this dungeon that we're creating. And again, you can pick and choose sort of what you want to use, when it fits, when it doesn't fit. You don't need to do all these things, but just add in what you feel is right and what is necessary and what's going to work. So I'm thinking that you don't need to have a dungeon uniqueness. You don't need to have anything special about the properties of the dungeon, the interior, the exterior. You could just leave it as a plain, simple dungeon as far as the players are concerned. But I'm thinking that we'll roll up once for properties. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put here uniqueness, just to give it a little bit of flavour and to make it a little bit different from what other dungeons we've seen before. So again, it's a D20. We get a 6. The deeper you go, the brighter it gets. Ooh. So that could definitely work as a lead, as a temptation for the players to venture deeper and deeper into the dungeon. And maybe what could be causing the brightness. Ooh, that's very, very interesting. So let me just write that down. Yeah, so that is very interesting. Maybe there could be some kind of, again, as I was doing this kind of like description of the city, I definitely had more time in mind from the Games Workshop skirmish game, which unfortunately is not supported as much as it should be, but where the community is very, very strong. But yeah, I had a kind of image of more time in mind in terms of it being like an abandoned city where people come to, search for treasure and all these sort of things, But this dungeon or these glacial caves, the deeper you go, the brighter it gets. So maybe you could use this in a Warhammer fantasy roleplay where there is warpstone down in the depths. Which actually brings me to the next thing that we could do. We could actually roll up enemy themes. So as I mentioned before, this could be in terms of the origin of your dungeon, who made it, In terms of glacial caves, probably not constructed, but in terms of who's currently occupying it, I mean, if you're going to do this in terms of the warp stone and everything else, then definitely Scaven or Ratmen or Rat People could definitely be the enemy. But maybe let's roll up a random for our campaign, you know, just in case we're not going to be using this in terms of Mordheim or Warhammer. Let's roll up for a thematic group, D20 again. Most of the tables here are D20. We get a 2. This dice, that first roll was good. After that, it's been a little bit disappointing. 2 undead. Okay, so maybe in this dungeon, for a lot of the encounters, maybe we should be rolling on undead tables. Maybe the final boss should be an undead creature. Possibly. Let me just write that down. Good. Now, of course, we haven't started drawing it yet because I want to get some idea of the dungeon itself. Things like dressings and the doors and the archways and the windows and everything. All these other tables here we can roll on as we draw and create the dungeon. Is there anything else that I want to add? Lore? The dungeon age, possibly? Well, it's glacial caves, so maybe we don't need that. But yeah, I think we're ready to go. I think we're ready to start building our dungeon. Glacial caves, so I'm thinking that we'll probably be using for the majority maybe the jagged variants. We are now going to start rolling up our dungeon, and we've got to start with, well, I mean, we don't have to start, but I think we are going to start with a entrance tile. And for this, we're going to be rolling a D12. So, give me 1 second and we'll start drawing. And we're going to be starting with an entrance tile. There are 12 options here, so we're rolling a D12. We get a 5. So our entrance is quite a large entrance, actually. Looks like we've got 3 pillars. Now, we could just take these as being the sort of round or cylindrical pillars as shown here. But what I'm thinking is that we could actually roll for that on this page. So let me draw this. I'm going to start my dungeon at the bottom here. Again, I wish that these page numbers weren't here. But let me draw this and then we'll roll up to see what pillars we have. Okay, that's roughly what it looks like as it's jagged. And again, drawing it on this grid here, it doesn't really leave me much space to put more rooms or passages to either side. So again, we could definitely expand it onto another piece of grid paper over here or over to the left, but I'm thinking for this example I just want to keep it on this page here, so that's going to limit how far I can move left or right. But yeah, let's take a look at the pillars. Where were they? I just lost my bookmark, didn't I? Here we go, pillars and columns. So on the drawing here for the entrance, they're round, which is still a possibility, but I'm thinking that we're going to roll for this. So the pillars in the entryway are 3. Okay, square or diamond shape. Okay, we can do that. So they are, let's move the dice out of the way for a second. So there's one here. So we'll have 1 pillar there. Then there's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Another one here. And then there's another one, 1, 2, 3 over here. Okay. So 3 pillars. We can now, I mean, normally entryways don't necessarily have any encounters or sort of anything of interest. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to carry on. We're going to create the next room, and then we'll start getting into doing a little bit of decor, I think. Now, where do we want to go? 1, 2, 3, or 4. Let's roll a dice. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which direction are we going? 4. So we're going to go here. So we're going to go to the right. Never eat shredded wheat. Or to the east. We're going to see what is going to be in that area there. So we're rolling a d20. What do we get? A 15, which is a standard corner. Now, what I could do is I could make this go in that direction. Don't have to follow the direction that's on this here. But it is 4 wide. The entrance was only 2, wasn't it? Yeah, only 2. So maybe it opens up and then turns the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 long. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it goes all the way to the edge here, but maybe it opens up a bit, comes along, and then comes up. And again, it's 4, right? 1, 2, 3, about 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, so let's go up like that, and this one comes to there. All right. Now, is there going to be anything in this room? Well, we do have some dungeon room types, so we can do this. We've got caverns and caves, we've got workshops, holy, unholy, castle or generic. I'm thinking that majority will be under caverns or caves. So what have we got here? This little corner is bedrolls and a fire or camp. Okay. So again, what you could do is you could use a separate sheet or grid for each of these separate rooms, or possibly even 2 on one page, and then have another note sheet where you make notes about each of the rooms in detail. But what I'm going to write on here is literally just the description and just add a few little icons. So using the dungeon icons that comes in the book, a campfire, they reckon looks like that. Beds or bed sheets kind of look like that. So what we've done in our little camping area here that we've rolled up, I've kind of put a remains of a campfire, 2 bedrolls there. In the book, there is also, let's move the die out of the way here. In terms of dungeon dressing, there is actually a table for camping spots where maybe you can also get a bit more information, which we will do. So a D12, we get a 6. A steaming cauldron sits in the center of the room. Ooh. So maybe, but maybe something is still down here. Maybe there are other adventurers down here possibly, or maybe NPCs that you can interact with. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to add into this room here a point of interest. And what I'll do for those is I'll put maybe a letter encircled. And maybe what I'll do is up here under the notes, I'll keep record of these interesting points. And I'll put here the cauldron in the room, steaming cauldron. In terms of this sort of sample, I'm not actually going to roll to see whether there's encounters or whatever. I will roll up a random beast builder in one of the rooms, but that's it. So whether this area is going to be occupied or not, that's up to you and your players or your game. Let us continue. Now, I'm thinking that we'll continue in this direction for a little bit. So we're going to roll up another area. 5 by 5. Now let's carry on with the 6 by 6 for the moment. So D20. What is up north? A 7. A dead end. Okay. So, let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it goes up 5 and then it's a dead end. And again, it's 4 wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it comes to here. Dead end. Now, as you're drawing these maps and stuff, you can, of course, hatch to show the sort of solid area. You could colour. I'll probably do that at the end for a nice little picture. But as I'm drawing it, just leaving it, without hatching or anything. So this basically comes to here as a campsite, camping spot, and then comes into this area which is like a dead end. Let's roll and see whether there's actually anything in here. So let's go back to the table. There's the table. Not that one. Where is it? Dungeon room types. Here we go. D20. 18. An underground waterfall. Now these are glacial caves. So this is obviously going to be really cold water. Probably, I would have thought, and again, as you're running the adventure, you could probably maybe set a difficulty level or whatever as to whether this water is safe to drink. Maybe it provides some, maybe it actually provides some benefit in terms of healing or purifying potentially. Maybe it could count as holy water, because the enemy theme in this place is undead, right? So if you've got like some kind of glacial waterfall that's extremely pure, maybe that could count as a sort of maybe a low effect or a low purity sort of holy water. Maybe it has an effect on undead, but maybe not a sort of full strength like holy water. Okay, so where's the waterfall going to be? Is it going to be on this side, this side, this side? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. D6. But it is a 1. Typical. D6s always roll 1s. So it's actually on this face here, the waterfall. So there's going to be like a pool and possibly a small outlet further to go further down into the dungeon. Let's see if I can draw. Let's see if I can draw a waterfall, shall we? Yeah, I don't know whether that looks like a waterfall, but part of the room is flooded here in terms of the water, and again, there must be an outlet somewhere for where the water actually goes further down into the caves. But I've put another note here, point B, underground waterfall, cold, pure, question mark, holy, question mark, question mark. Again, if you're going to be running this for your party as a DM, these are definitely things that you can then roll up for, or maybe create to fit your narrative or to fit your story. As a solo player, again, you could use the oracle to determine, whether it's pure, maybe whether it's holy. I think there'd be a smaller chance of it being holy, to be honest, but it's definitely something that can be incorporated into your game and into your story. Right, so, and again, I can see why this is a good place for a camp, near to a waterfall. Water supply, very, very useful. Right, so that's a dead end there. I'm not going to say there's any secret exits. I mean, potentially there could possibly be an exit under the water to go deeper into the caves, but I'm not going to put that here. What we're going to do is come back to the entrance and then go in another direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got a 5, so we're going to be going into this way. We'll do a couple more rooms so you can see what's going on and what you can roll. So we're coming back to here. We're coming back to the jagged variants. A D20, a 17. Didn't I? Oh no. Okay. So this is a crossroads. It's going to be difficult to feed into this because I'll be coming up here with the 2. It then crosses into wide. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this a little bit so it doesn't have the right exit, or maybe the right exit is a dead end and the only further progress can be made this way or this way. Or another thing that you could do is possibly have the right exit sort of go down so it actually goes under the waterfall room. That could possibly work, and then you find maybe another room which is flooded with the water coming down. That could possibly work, but let me draw this first. Okay, so I've done it like this. I mean, like I say, you could have this going down to the next level underneath this room if you wanted to, but I've just done it as basically just a dead end. But we do have 2 other exits here. This could potentially lead into the same area as what's coming up there. But let's see if there's anything in this area. So we're going to be coming over to here. Not dressing, not doors. Room types. So let's roll. A 3. A storage cave. Okay. So I've just put some crates and barrels in this in the dead end area of the storage room. Now what I'm going to do, just to finish off this sample, because again, we could spend hours creating this dungeon, but I want to sort of keep it to a manageable side, combined with the kind of overview of this amazing product. So what I'm going to do is actually in this room, I'm going to create an encounter. So in this room here, this is, I'll put here storage. It's a storage area. But in this area, and I'm going to put note C, I'm going to have an encounter, and I'm going to create the encounter by using the Dungeon Beast Builder. Right. For this, we're going to be using D20s, D6s. So D20s, D6s. Anything else? Bump, bump. Nope, just D20s and D60s. Even better. Right. So we're going to create something new. Create something interesting. I don't think this is going to be the boss, but it's definitely going to be something interesting for the players to encounter as they're going through the crates and the barrels. Right. Let's roll it up. So, word 1, word 2, beast, base, and affliction. So, word 1 is a 9. Vengeful. A vengeful, 14. Magical. Ooh, vengeful, magical, 6. Rat. Okay, maybe it is a scaven. It's got an affliction. I mean, the affliction I think could be optional, but we're going to do it. Because why the hell not? A 10. In agony. Oh. A vengeful, magical rat in agony. Oh. Now, of course, it can't just be a normal rat. It's either going to be a rat horde or it's going to be a mega rat. Right, what else have we got here? From its body protrudes. Okay, let me write down these sentences and then we'll add in the parts in a second. Right, I've just written down the other details, except for this one. Number 7, it carries with it it's a rat, so I'm thinking it's not carrying anything, yeah? So I'm not going to be rolling for that one, but we'll roll for the others. So, the first one here. From its body protrudes 15. Chains. Oh, and it's got chains. It's got chains and wrapped around it. Okay, that's cool. That's why it's vengeful, probably. It's escaped from somewhere. Next one. The beast smells like 15 again. Rainfall. Okay. Yeah. I'm not doing that one because it wouldn't work. Merchants will pay for its 6. Getting a lot of 6s and 15s. 6. Eyes. So maybe there's something special about its eyes. Maybe that magical effect is from its eyes somehow. The beast will attack, and again, this is if combat occurs. It's basically giving you some options so that it's not just normal, a rat attacks by biting. Well, maybe not necessarily. Let's have a look. Sorry, D6. 4. Poison. So it's got poisoned attacks. Again, kind of makes sense with a rat. Okay, maybe its bite or its claws are poisonous. And when the beast dies, it 5 melts. So maybe you have limited time to grab the eyes before it melts away like acid. Like the witch in The Wizard of Oz. I'm melting! Ooh, it's really interesting. You can create a kind of legend around the beast. Maybe, again, this may be just for the boss of the dungeon kind of thing. It's like, they call it Mad Libs or something. The beast shall appear in the dungeon when... I mean, let's roll one up, but it's not going to be applicable to my rat. But maybe this is applicable to the boss. Is there anything else I need to do for the rat first? Possibly? Why is the beast in the dungeon? I mean, we could roll that up. Why is the beast in the dungeon? We can roll this. We get a 7. It guards an ancient treasure here. Ooh, so maybe there's something in amongst the crates and the storage that is valuable, that the rat is protecting or stopping other things from getting it. Preferred habitat. I don't think it's relative here. So, and again, you can pick and choose the ones that you think are going to work. But what I will do to finish off, just to finish off this sample, we've created a few rooms here. I've shown you some of the tables in the book. We're just going to finish off with this little kind of legend or saying about the boss of this dungeon. I can just write that down the bottom here, I think, just to finish off the video. So, and again, this is relating to the boss. The beast shall appear in the dungeon when... D6. 6. A spell is used. And also when the... 2. Relic. Donk. 6. Is moved. Okay, so the beast shall appear in the dungeon when a spell is used, and also when the relic is moved. The beast shall 3. Pursue the party and can only be defeated by 5. Steal. So maybe, like I say, maybe this is for the boss, not for the rat, obviously. I think the rat's just a basic encounter. But in terms of the boss, the beast shall appear in the dungeon when a spell is used and also when the relic is moved. What relic? Well, again, we've got a whole dungeon in terms of to find a relic and to design and create a room which has a relic. The beast shall pursue the party and can only be defeated by steal. So magic won't work, strength won't work, poison won't work, spells, yeah, all these things won't work. Only steal can kill it. Whoa. Well, I mean, this is a very quick sample of what you can do with the Dungeon Diary of Daedalus by Shieldice Studios, and showing off some of the other files that you get. The Beast Builder, oh, where are you? The Blank Diary, and again, I've just taken one of the grid pages, one of the note pages. There are a lot in there. You've got, like I say, surrounding area. You can create a hex map for the surrounding area. You can do NPCs. There's a lot of things you can do. And like I say, I would probably start off by doing like an overall map on a number of these pages. And then for the sort of rooms of real interest, I would probably use another page to add more detail. But yeah, we've basically just created a very short section of this dungeon beneath the Rusty Skull. And we've also created a very weird, dangerous rat. But yes, it is very definitely a tool worth having a look at. And like I say, it's not expensive. Even the soft cover is a lot cheaper than others you can find. And everything's in there. Like I say, it is an essential tool, I would say, because everything's in there. Of course, you can add other things to it, but you don't need to. So guys, hopefully this has been of use for you. If it has, please take a minute to like, to subscribe, ring the bell, add some comments, let me know what you think. Do you have this? Would you purchase this after this video? Let me know. But also, again, guys, please, if you could, share, spread the word about my channel, about the videos that I'm doing. Like I say, it's things to be taking a little bit of a downward turn in terms of subs and views and everything else at the moment. So any help would be gratefully received. All right, guys, until the next video, take care, stay safe, cheers.